welcome to the one and only Tszyu.
Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. I don't know what happened there. It is Monday, February the 17th, 2025. I should have known that since I do the walking boxing every single morning. Great to have you along as always. First of all, I would like to make a heartfelt apology to everyone that likes to watch the show after the fact or listens on Spotify. I don't know what happened last week. I was just sitting there about 30, 40 minutes after the show ended last week, and when I thought it ended, and I had a little notification that the show was still live, and I thought, well, I better go on there and see what's happened, and it did look like it was live, and I'm mucking around with it, and I exited out of the program. Well, I exited all right, and it took down the whole show, so I do apologise. If you didn't get to see it or hear it last week, let's hope I don't make the same mistake this week. Thanks to everyone again that has tuned into all the Walking Boxing episodes and, of course, tuned in here every week. It is indeed fight week, and not just for the big Riyadh card. It is also Jason Maloney versus Tenshin Nasukawa over in Japan. So a big week for boxing all around. If you're new to the show and you haven't watched before, the chat section is right there. All you got to do is put your comment, question, whatever it might be in there. And as it says there, let's talk some boxing. So let's get started. We're going to start with Damien. I've just got the things here, so I've got it in the right order. What have you got there? Where is it? Did you see the Tank Gloves Off episode? Me neither. Can't wait for this weekend's big event. What time do you think you'll be up for the watch-along? I forgot about that. Is that this weekend? Hang on. Yeah, sure. It's this weekend, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let me have a... I haven't got it up there. It's all good. Yeah, all right. Lamont Roach this weekend. No, I haven't seen the episode. I'm gathering by your comment there, Damien. There is no Gloves Off episode. One thing I can say, though, about this fight, it's $70 on Foxtel or Main Event. Can you believe that? $70. Now, I understand they charge it for Tim and Nikita and maybe George Kambosos. I get that. But normally for an international fight, even the big ones, $50 max. $70 for Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Now, it's not this weekend, is it? No, it's not. It's March. It's in March, isn't it? Sorry, yeah. There's that much going on at the moment with fights and cards and events, all this sort of stuff. I completely forgot. But it is, I'm pretty sure it is at the second week of March. Let me just have a look. I've got to have a look. I've got to have a look. Where is it? Go on my Foxtel. Where are we? Let's see what's actually happening on Main Event at the moment. What do we got? Main Event. Let's have a quick look. Sunday, March the 2nd. Now, what's this week? Sunday, 23rd it will be for the Riyadh card. So it's the week after Davis and Roach. We've got UFC 313, Pereira and Ankalev on the 9th of March. And Wednesday, the 12th of March, Thurman Jarvis, $69.95. I'm sure there's got to be a lot of you guys and girls out there that want to discuss what's happened this week with Brock Jarvis and Jeff Fennick and Curtis Scott. There's a fair bit. And Michael Zarafa. Lots going on there. But it's interesting there's no Jason Maloney on there. I'm assuming the fight will be free on Monday night. Let's hope so. But they're the big fights on at the moment. Davis and Roach on the 2nd of March. And Thurman and Jarvis on the 12th of March. Now, I'm assuming George on the 22nd is on DAZN. Liam Wilson, Yusuf Dib is obviously free. So... all right, let's have a look on what's happening. What else have we got there? Still with Damien. You notice how much filler and long-winded bullshit Top Rank does on ESPN. I hope they go on DAZN and take the UFC approach, go fight after fight after fight. No stuffing around. Events done in 3 hours. Well, Damien, that was a massive card on Saturday. Now, on the guide, it said it was 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I thought, yeah, or 4 hours, I can manage that. You know, it's Saturday, it's a beautiful day. I'll take Neil for a walk and come home, have a shower, have something to eat, sit down, and big day of boxing. By 1 o'clock, it's all over. Plenty of time to go and wash the car and do whatever else you got to do and whatever chores, and obviously spend time with the lovely, all that sort of stuff. It got to about 1:45. I think we still had 2 prelims to go before the main event. I think it finished at 4 o'clock, which is just ridiculous. That is a 7-hour card. I agree with you there, Damien. We don't need all the filler. At one stage, they actually cut in, and I think they had a couple of Nikita Tszyu fights or highlights, whatever it might have been, to fill the gaps of ESPN and Top Rank. Just bizarre. So, look, I understand and appreciate they're trying to help us boxing fans out with as much content as they can, but sometimes enough is too much, or too much is enough, whatever it might be. But on the weekend, look, I had some really good fights on there, but we could have probably done with maybe 3 prelims and then the main event, not the 7 or 8 fights, whatever it might have been. So I'm with you there, Damien. Where is Tom? All right. Tom's dad, Naz. I thought the Top Rank card was good. Anderson looked ordinary. Juan Manuel Lopez's son looked good on debut. Was that his son? I didn't even notice that there, Naz. Zayas looked okay, and Mason seems special. Can't wait for him to step up. 135 is stacked. Well, I agree, Naz. I hope I've got your name right there. Tom's dad, Naz. Yep, I'll call you Naz. Yeah, Anderson looked really underdone, Naz. He looked uninterested. He looked lethargic. He looked a little bit out of shape. And if Colliers had have actually picked the pace up a few rounds earlier, who knows what might have happened. He came good in the last probably 20 seconds, didn't he? But, yeah, I'm with you there, mate. But, look, end of the day, he got stopped in his last fight. He's been out of the ring for a while. I'm okay with just getting a win and just looking ahead. But you're right, he did look ordinary. Yeah, Juan Manuel Lopez's son, he was good. I mean, his opposition, let's face it, was, let's just say, well picked. Well picked. But, look, I did say on the day as well, or the walking box on the day after, when it comes to your pro debut and you're an Olympic star and everything else, you've just got to get a patsy under your belt, as they say. First round KO, look spectacular, get everyone talking about you, and off you go. So I got no dramas with it, but he did look pretty good, didn't he? Zayas, yeah, I'm not sold on Zayas, Naz. You're right, he looked okay, and that's about it. Just okay. Looked brilliant for the first 2 or 3 rounds, and then once the dust settled and we got into the groove of the fight, I thought he looked pretty ordinary, if I'm being honest. Look, he's a good kid. He's only 22. He's got a lot of talent. I'm just not seeing it yet, Naz. And I didn't actually mention it, was it last week or the week before either. I wasn't that impressed with Curtis Moton either. His fight, look, I think he got the stoppage, but I'm not seeing it. You know, when you just see someone at an early stage of the career, in the first sort of 6 or 7 fights, you go, wow, look at this kid. This kid's going to be special. I don't see it with Zayas, and I didn't see it with Moton either. So let's hope I'm wrong, but yeah, wasn't overly impressed with either of them there. Naz and Mason, Abdullah Mason, oh, he looked good. I was really impressed with the way he was composed, he was balanced, really picked his shots, and got a pretty good opponent out of there. I'm not going to say he's world-class running the opponent, but he did go 10 rounds with Rolly Romero last year. So, yeah, I was impressed with Abdullah Mason as well. And he's actually booked in again to fight in early March, I think it is. Now, it was against, what was his name? He was the guy that fought, he's lost to Isaac Cruz and Zapata recently. What was his name? I'll see if I can quickly find it while we're looking here. Actually, quickly scoot down there. Where are we? That's Lopez. I always sort of try and get on the news sites just before we come on, but I forgot to get that one. No, I'm not seeing it. Sorry, guys. No. Everything but. No, sorry about that. I'm sure someone in there that will know. But he is, I think it's April the 5th he's backing up. So, all right, on to the next comment. Who we got there? It is, again, Tom's dad, Naz. Anderson would be a good name for Justice to have on his resume. Easy to make it if Top Rank go to DAZN and safer than Otoma. Yeah, I agree with it being safer than Otoma there. Naz, look, I'm not sure whether Justice, I was going to say maybe he's not ready for Anderson, big baby Anderson, but maybe he is. I think Justice's hand speed, his work rate, his footwork would really cause some issues for Jared Anderson. I really do. And I think that you're right, that could be a really good name for him. I was just about to say that maybe it's a bit of a step up too far for Justice, but I do agree that out of the two, I think I would be picking Anderson. Very limited, not really fast on his feet, telegraphs his punches a lot. Not overly impressed with Anderson in a pretty shallow sort of second half of the division, sort of 6 to 10. But I do agree there, mate. He will be a lot safer than Otoma as well. So, yeah, maybe at some stage they're going to step Justice up to someone like an Anderson. I would think that now they're in cahoots with Eddie and Riyadh season and everything like that. You'll see Justice Huni have to fight one of these guys. You've seen already that the Riyadh guys and Eddie and everything in conjunction with Turkey LL Sheikh, they don't like to mollycoddle fighters. They like to see whether you got it or you don't. And Justice Huni is really starting to enter that zone now where they're going to want to see what he has. They did it with Dempsey McKean. Is Justice Huni next? And I think he beats Jared Anderson. Tony, where are you? Tony, where was yours? Fundora. Seems Fundora, this is Sebastian Fundora, is fighting mid-March against Chordal Booker. There's a household name for you. Sad we didn't get to see Tim fight him again. I truly believe Tim would have pounded him. I'm not sure of that, Tony. I would like to think so, that Tim would have pounded him, but I don't know, mate. Maybe I've got a little PTSD as far as Tim goes with him getting bounced off the canvas so many times against Murtazaliev. And I don't say that in a disparaging way. I'm just saying it the way I saw it. I'm not sure if Tim would have pounded Fundora. I know it's easy to say that, the first two rounds when they fought, Tim well and truly got the better of Fundora. But this is why the not 15-round fights. That's another topic, isn't it? This is why the 12-round fights. I don't think there's any guarantees that Tim would have pounded him, as you say there. And in the rematch, who knows? You just don't know. I mean, I don't know. As I said, I've still just got those haunting memories of Tim being just flattened by Murtazaliev, and I'm just not sure. I've looked back at a few of Tim's fights since then, and I'll be honest with you, I've sort of seen little things like, geez, I can't believe I didn't see that before. Just some of the flaws, and I know it's easy in hindsight, and it's easy to pick at someone like Tim who's vulnerable at the moment and an easy target for what happened. But I watched, who was it? It was a fight with, who was it? Was it Mendoza? It was one of them anyway. And even with Fundora, and I remember looking at him, this is only recently, the last couple of weeks, thinking, yeah, I can't believe I didn't see a few of those little flaws that we all sort of glossed over with Tim. And then in the Murtazaliev fight, looking back, I can see there's no surprise now that Tim got nailed with those left hooks, because looking back at those fights, he's open to that left hook. I think we all sort of got a little bit sort of, you call it, starry-eyed when it comes to Tim. Not to say he's not going to get back there. I'm certainly not saying that with Tim, because I am a big fan of Tim, but he's got a way to go. And you're right there, Sebastian Fundora is fighting Chordal Booker, if you can believe that. So we went from Spence to Crawford, back to Spence, now to Chordal Booker, which is just ridiculous. I'm not going to rule out that Tim might not get a shot at Fundora again down the track too, Tony. I think they've got unfinished business. So Tim's just got so far to go first. He really does. He's got a good 12 to 18 months, in my opinion. And if he does it before then step up, I think it's way too early. He needs 2 to 3 fights this year. Maybe a bit longer than here. Maybe by mid next year, 3 to 4 fights, and then step him up again. That loss to Murtazaliev mentally would have been really, really hard for Tim. And that's why I think if they step him up before 3 fights, I think that it's way too early. Give him three, not say easy fights, but winnable fights. And this Joey Spencer coming up is a perfect guy for starters, and then we'll see after that. But yeah, I'm not sort of buying into Tim would have pounded Sebastian Fundora, because I suppose we'll never know until they fight again anyway. All right. Travis Dalton, how are you, Travis? When we're getting a Tim Tszyu announcement, speaking of Tim, hopefully not too far away. Have you heard anything? All I've heard, Travis, it will be April the 6th in Newcastle. That's what I've heard. And Nikita will be the end of April in Sydney, I think, but that'll be on pay-per-view as well. I think what they've had to do is, because all these pay-per-views have come about, there's so much going on in the next couple of months, they've had to really space them out. And I've heard that Nikita probably could have fought around the same time as Tim, but they've just taken the opportunity to give him a few weeks extra to let that hand heal, and he'll be back at the end of April. So it looks like we've got, to go through it, we've got this weekend, we've got Jason Maloney, we've got obviously the Riyadh card, then we're into Liam Wilson and Yusuf Dib. Then we go into, who is it, Brock and Keith. Then we're into George. Then we're into Tim. Then we're into Nikita. It's just all happening, isn't it? Which is a great time for boxing at the moment. But that's what I've heard, Travis. April the 6th in Newcastle. But as far as the announcement goes, I don't think they'll rush it. What are we? Still about, 7 weeks away, maybe 8 weeks away. So maybe give it another week or two. I think they might even do it the week of the Liam Wilson fight. That probably makes sense. They would do it that week to tie in with that. Maybe they'll do it on the night. Who knows? But there'll be a big announcement coming, mate, for sure. All right. There is Batman Boxing. How are you there, mate? Fight week. Let's go. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, mate. Batman, it says, I did a poll on my channel for the main event. It's 50-50 at 4.7 thousand votes, so 4,700 votes. Talk about a pick'em. That's a lot of votes, Batman. I don't think I follow your channel. I'm going to have to get on there. I didn't even know you had a channel. I'm sorry. But for me, let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm going to tip. Jeez, I put myself on the spot here. I think Better Beef gets the job done again. I thought Bivol won the first fight. I've said that, and I stand by that. And I think even along the lines, I might have picked Bivol to win the rematch. But the more I'm sort of thinking about it now, and I've had a good look at it, looked at the first fight, I think Artur Beterbiev gets the job done again. I'm not sure Bivol has got a lot more to offer. Maybe he does, but I definitely think Artur Beterbiev does. I think looking at his fight, I think he could pick up the pace a lot. I think he could throw a lot more punches. I think he could cut off the ring a lot more. So he's got a couple of gears to go up. I'm not so sure Bivol has the same. He might have one or two, but I've got a feeling Beterbiev's got 3 or 4 gears to get through. So either way, I think it's going to be a great fight. And probably like the first fight, it's going to be down to the wire, and it's going to be controversial. We'll see. What's that, Damien? No, the big fight I'm talking about is a Saudi card. Yes, this weekend, of course. Ronnie Picken. How are you, Ronnie? I actually rang you this morning. Appreciate you ringing me back. Not. I'm just joking, Ronnie. What's this? We're probably the best card we've seen for ages. I love your predictions fight by fight. Okay, good call, Ronnie. Let's go through it. I'm going to have to bring it up. Where is it? Type in one of the fighters' names to bring up the card. All right, quickly go through the events. All right, all the fights. Here we go. All right, so this weekend, let's start from the bottom. This is the box rec schedule. I'm not exactly 100% sure what order they'll be in, although I would say that Bradley Ray and Constantino Nunga will be the first fight. Now, that's a 10-rounder to get us going. Bradley Ray, 20-1. Constantino Nunga is 12-0. I don't really know much about either of these guys. I'll go for Bradley Ray in that one, but I'm guessing there, Ronnie. Next one, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith for the WBO interim light heavyweight title. Buatsi is 19-0, Callum Smith 30-2. I'm going to go for Buatsi in that one. Not so sure Callum Smith's got a lot left. Zile Zhang, 27-2-1. Ajit Kabal, 25-0. I'm going to go for Kabal in that one. That will be an excellent fight, though. That'll be a ripper. Shakur Stevenson, Floyd Schofield for the WBC. That other fight, by the way, is for the WBC interim heavyweight title. Shakur Stevenson, Floyd Schofield for the WBC lightweight title. Shakur Stevenson, not overly excited about that fight at all. Look, I think Schofield's actually a good young fighter. Just not sure he's up to Shakur Stevenson's level at this stage. So I'm going to go for Stevenson in a bit of a snooze fest. Then we go to Virgil Ortiz Jr. What a fight this will be, Ronnie. 22-0. He's fighting Israel Madrimov, the WBC interim super welterweight belt on the line. Madrimov 10-1-1. I'm going to go for Virgil Ortiz Jr. to win a decision in that one. Ronnie, I think Virgil Ortiz will look good in that fight. I think Madrimov is custom-made for Ortiz, and I think Ortiz wins that fight. Carlos Adames and Hamza Shiraz for the WBC middleweight title. Adames 24-1. Shiraz is 21-0. I think this is a breakout fight for Hamza Shiraz. I think he wins that on points and takes home that WBC middleweight title. And who knows, it could kickstart the middleweight division. All of a sudden, we've got Hamza Shiraz, we've got Yanibek Elam Kanuli, and we've got Erizan Lara. Some 3 really good champions in there, and who knows what might happen after that, especially if they're on the Riyadh cards. Then we're into the heavyweights. What a card this is. I can't believe I'm only up to the second last fight. Daniel Dubois, 22-2. He's defending that IBF heavyweight title against Joseph Parker, 35-3. I'm going to go for Joseph Parker in an upset to beat Daniel Dubois on points in that one. And in the main event, Artur Beterbiev, 21-0 against Dmitry Bivol, 23-1 for all the belts at 175. As I said, I'm going to go for Beterbiev on points. So let me know there, guys. Sammy T. Saw 46-year-old Felix Stern got a win last weekend. Yeah, I saw that, Sammy. I also noticed Oliver McCall fought this year too. Do you think it's a financial thing holding on to their identity or maybe something else? Probably a bit of everything there, Sammy. I've got a feeling it's just hard to let go. I mean, once you've finished your career, the pats on the back stop, the paydays stop, a lot of things change in your life. And a lot of them just don't want to give up on their youth. 46 years of age, though. I think that's way too old, isn't it, to continue? But he did get the win. Oliver McCall. Look, it's okay, I suppose, if you're fighting those type of fighters. They're fighting the journeyman. I just don't want to see him step up too high, I suppose. It's okay. Look, you're a long time retired. If they want to fight and they're not getting knocked around or hurt, then happy days. You do what you got to do. Get some paydays. As Rocky says, address the things in the basement, all that sort of stuff. But as long as they don't step up too far, that's when we might have some issues. But good on them. As long as they're fighting and winning and getting paid, that's the main thing. Still with Sammy T. Do you rate Charlie Kazi so far? I reckon he looks the goods, but he just lacks a big punch. Now, just enlighten me there, Sammy. Now, I'm struggling to put a face to that name. He's a little Aussie guy, isn't he? Let me have a look. Charlie Kazi, yeah. There he is. Yeah, I knew it was the case. Now I know the one. I've just brought him up on BoxRec. 7-0, 3 KOs. Yes, impressive. But he is fighting on the March card with Brock Jarvis and Thurman. He's fighting Nort Beauchamp. I'm just on BoxRec at the moment. The issue at the moment, Sammy, he looks good so far, and I've seen a couple of his fights. But I'm looking at the opponents he's fought, mate. So I never pass judgment too far these days until I've seen him step up. And I'm looking at his opponents. First opponent was 1-4. Second was 1-3. The third one at least had a winning record, 5-4-1. His fourth was 2-3. His fifth was 5-5-1. His sixth was 27-40. And his last opponent was 4-6. Nort Beauchamp will be a test for him. Nort is 19-8-1. Can fight, but well past it. Give him another couple of fights, Sammy. I think so far it has looked impressive, but again, I'm not passing judgment. I mean, you get guys like Charlie. I mean, Vegas Larfield's another one. I think he's going to be a good little fighter, but you saw the same thing with Vegas. When they sort of stepped him up, maybe it was a little bit too far. Only a young guy, so I think he'll be good down the track, and I think Charlie's the same. I just want to withhold judgment until I see him in with a live opponent. Nort Beauchamp won't be easy, but I want to see him in some live fights. But look, on the surface, a very, very talented young guy, Sammy, for sure. What do we got there, Tony? Can you give my boss a straighten up? He claims Hearns has no business being in the Four Kings. The other three champions, Hearns not that good. He's watching, so you can educate him, please. Well, Tony's boss. Maybe he's not at the top of the tree of the four, but you've got to put him in with the Four Kings there, Tony. If you take out Thomas Hearns, you've probably got to take out Roberto Duran as well. We only got 2 kings in Hagler and Leonard. I mean, look at them all against each other. Leonard, I think we went through this a few weeks ago. Leonard he beat Hagler. So he's 1-0. He was 1-1 against, or 1-0-1 against Hearns. What's that? 2 wins and a draw. And he went, so it's 2 wins, 1 loss and a draw. He went 4 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw against all those guys. Hagler went what? 2-1. Hearns went one win. What was it? 2 losses and a draw. Should have beat Leonard though. And what did Duran go? 1-2 against. So Duran's actually 1-4-1 against the Kings. So I'm not sure if you could go that far, Tony. I'm with you though, mate. I'm going to straighten your boss up. If Tony's boss is watching, there you go. I'm going to give you a little virtual slap there. You can't not have Thomas Hearns in the 4 Kings. Take it. I know we didn't have the results. Like Hagler, he was knocked out, of course. He was knocked out in that first fight by Leonard. That was a long time. Like, he was a young guy then. He won that second fight, no doubt in my mind, and he flattened Roberto Duran. So for me, yes, 100% in the 4 Kings. And look what he did outside that, Tony. He beat Wilfredo Gomez as well. Wilfred Benitez, who's probably the 5th king. He fought everyone except Hagler. And he beat Duran, gave Leonard a good fight, gave Hearns a good fight. So he could have almost been the 5th king. But Thomas Hearns, like the first 4-time or 4-division champion, by the way. None of this age of interim belts and all this other crap. He won 4 legitimate belts in 4 divisions. So Tommy Hearns is a legend and 100% should be in the 4 Kings. There you go. Sammy, I was a big fan of the Hussein brothers back in the day. And when they were competing, did you ever get a chance to spar either of them? No, I didn't, Sammy. I had a lot to do with them. They were around, of course, when I was fighting. I went away to the Olympics with Hussein, and the World Championships with Hussey as well. I don't think he went to the Commonwealth Games, Hussey. No, I don't think he did. And I went to a couple of Oceanias with Hussey as well. So I went to probably 5 tournaments with Hussey. And Nadal, Skinny, Hussein, I went to probably no big tournaments, but a couple of Oceania games with him as well. Just great guys, great fighters. Hussey was a little bit unlucky a couple of times. I think I went to South Africa with Hussey as well. So maybe half a dozen tournaments with Hussey. Roomed with Hussey a couple of times as well. So really, really good guy. I remember Skinny with those body punches, the left rip to the body, the amount of guys he nailed. And for such a small guy, Skinny was such a big puncher. Hussey was more of that type of puncher who would wear you down. He also had a really good work to the body as well. But really good guys, both in the Hall of Fame now, Sammy, and great guys. I did catch up with them at the Hall of Fame as well. They know the boxing. Hussey's really taken a step backwards in the game. He's still involved in boxing big time. It doesn't really get involved in a lot of the social media stuff, where Skinny, he's pretty vocal on social media. And, yeah, good guys there, Sammy. And, very worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. But sorry, to answer your question, no, I didn't spar either of them. Hussey was only, 51 kilos, I think, and Skinny was 54. I was fighting at 67 at the time. And the way it works, Sammy, back in the day when you had the national team, you would spar the one above you, or 1 or 2 above you, and the 1 or 2 below you. So there was always 2 or 3 in each division they'd have there. Sorry, not 3, 2. There was always A and B, and for me, I'd always spar the light middleweights and the light welterweights. So it was, the Richie Rolls, the Lee Trousers, those types of guys. But I used to love watching the same brothers spar with Robbie Peden and Swanee and those types of guys. Just awesome, an awesome team we had back then. It really was. Stephen Bateman, how are you, Stephen? I'm getting behind there. Sorry, guys. Damien, is it just me? I seriously can't look at Tszyu the same ever again. That face looked like 100 rhinos are coming at him 100 miles an hour. I wouldn't pay $5 to see him fight again. Damien, that's a little bit harsh there, mate, to say you wouldn't pay him or pay $5 to watch him. But you obviously agree with me. And look, I think a lot of fight fans are the same. And as I said, I'm a big fan of Tim, big fan of his team, all that sort of stuff. But I'll be lying if I said I couldn't get that same look out of my mind, Damien, of Tim just with that really confused, angry sort of look on his face in the ring with Murtazalyov when he was getting dropped. He just couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I've just looked at him, I must admit I've looked at him in a little bit different light. And as I said before, I've looked at a few of his previous fights and probably looked at flaws that I hadn't picked up on before because maybe I was looking through rose-coloured glasses. And then it's like, geez, no wonder he got hit with that left hook. He's dropping that right hand and the chin's up in the air and he's not bending that front foot when he goes to the body. It's easy in hindsight, by the way, but I do agree in some respect to what you're saying there, Damien, but I'm not going to say I wouldn't pay $5 to see him again. I'm sure we'll all happily pay $70 to watch him again, Damien, and that's what we're going to have to pay. But I just want the best for him. I think he's done so much has done so much to really keep the Aussie boxing momentum going. He was at the forefront when Jeff Horn sort of went off into the night, I suppose, into the sunset. It was Tim who stepped up, and then he really drove it. And then, of course, George Kambosos and everyone after him, and Liam Paro and everyone else, the Maloney boys have all sort of gone, and Jai Patira, of course, have all gone on with it since then. But I'm hoping he'll be back, Damien, but I'm not going to lie and say that I expect him to come back because he's got so much work to do. There's no guarantees at all. So let's hope he can do it. All right, Batman. Tim could do with a year of get-backs. 3 fights this year, all against very beatable opposition. I'm 100% in agreement with you there, Batman. I said before, 3 fights, no problem. I think Joey Spencer, won't say he's easy work, but I think he's a custom-made opponent for Tim, and I think Tim beats him quite comfortably. And then have 2 more fights against similar guys. At the end of the year, look, put 2025 in the books as just a year to get back on track, get 3 wins under your belt, and then reload for 2026. He's still young enough. He's only just turned 30, and there's some big fights out there for him. But I don't want him to rush it, because I think if he rushes it, then we could be facing the same situation that we've had in 2024. So let's see whether he can do it. It's up to him. Damien. Better Beeve, Parker, Ortiz, and Caballero get the job done this weekend. Yep, are they the ones I picked? Yes, they are. Yep, same ones. Yep. Tony, picks are exactly the same as Damien Rochester. Yep, mine as well. What was the other one on there? The other fights on there. Where was it? You had Parker. What are the other ones in there? Stevenson, Schofield, I'm assuming we're all going for Stevenson. What about, you've got Caballero, I think? Yes, you have. Okay, well, they're the main fights anyway. Batman, yes, my channel is doing well now at 72.7 thousand subs. I'm aiming it to get to that 100,000 by the end of the year. Well, guys, if you don't follow Batman or Team Batman Boxing, jump on, because you're missing out. 72.7 thousand. Now, I'm going to jump on while we're going here. Put it on mute so you can't hear it. I'm going to subscribe right now. Batman, where are we? Team Batman. And here I am thinking I was doing okay with 2,000 there. We finally made it, by the way. We're at 2,000. Where are you, Batman? All right, I'm going to... I don't subscribe to you. I can't believe I don't. All right, there you go. Now, do you have your own shows there, Batman, or do you... Hang on, I'm going to have to go through it all. All right, okay. I'm going to jump on later and have a look. So, yeah, 72.7. Done 5,000 videos. Okay, well, there you go. All right, we'll jump on and support Batman Boxing. All right, Drew Keeley. How are you, Drew? I love boxing, but sometimes I wonder if there are too many undercard fights. In saying that, the Bivol versus Better Beeve card is fire. Yeah, it is, Drew. Look, I'm with you, mate. I love the boxing as well, and I love the cards, but I just think sometimes there's too many undercard fights. I don't mind sort of putting them on. They sort of do it with the main event channel here. They'll have the undercards on a channel, and then they'll go to the main fights on the main card. I think 4 fights is enough. I really do. Especially if you've got 10 or 12 rounders, 4 fights is enough. Anything more than that is just too much. And look, I'm appreciative of what they're doing in Riyadh this weekend, Riyadh season. But I'm having a look at that. If I had to break it down, obviously the main event, Dubois, Parker, of course, Ortiz and Madrimov. And then for me, probably Zhang and Caballero. I'm not that stressed about Adames and Shiraz, although Shiraz is a good young fighter. Adames can fight, of course, 24-1. I don't really need all the other fights. I'm appreciative of it, and you've got to be careful what you wish for by wanting the cards cut back. But I suppose we don't have to watch the fights, do we? I won't be watching all the fights this weekend. I'll probably get up at about 6 and watch the last probably 4 fights, and that'll be it for me. I don't need to watch those early ones. All right, Naz. Ortiz versus Madrimov is a good precursor to Beterbiev and Bivol. One guy with feet and ring IQ, Madrimov and Bivol, versus one with power and pressure, Ortiz and Beterbiev. Yeah, they're going to be ripper fights. Be interesting if I had to ask you guys if you had one fight apart from the main event, that is, and they're only going to show one undercard fight, which one would it be? For me, I'd still think I would go with. Geez, is it Dubois and Parker, or is it Ortiz and Madrimov? I'm going to go with Ortiz and Madrimov. For me, that is the fight I would tune in to see if there was one undercard fight. Parker and Dubois is close, but Ortiz and Madrimov, I think that's going to be a cracker. All right, Batman. I think Floyd's youth and athleticism will make it interesting. Yeah, I think he will make it interesting, Batman. But I've still got my money on Shakur Stevenson. I can't split Ortiz and Madrimov. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to go with Ortiz. Hamza stopping Adames. Yeah, definitely think Hamza Shiraz wins that one. Still with Batman, I've got Dubois stopping Parker. And I've got Beterbiev. I felt he did enough in the first fight also. But once again, most likely will be close and competitive. Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be surprised with Dubois stopping Parker, Batman, if I'm being honest. Parker has shown he's susceptible and Dubois can punch. I've just also seen Dubois look pretty ordinary. If the Joseph Parker that turned up against Zhang and Wilder turns up, then who knows? That's the one I'm banking on. But he has looked pretty lethargic in a couple of fights as well, Parker. Let's just say I'm hoping for Joseph Parker to win, Batman. I really hope he gets the job done. I'd love him to beat Dubois and get a payday against Usyk. I think it'd be great. All right, Drew. I love watching Keyshawn Davis, but I can't stand his brash heel persona. At least with the likes of Mayweather, it seemed a lot more subtle and authentic and palatable, given he was the proven article. I'm with you there, Drew. I can't stand Keyshawn Davis. I can't stand him. Can't stand is probably maybe a bit harsh, but I don't like it with Davis. I don't like it with Shakur Stevenson. I don't like it with Gervonta Davis. I don't like it with Devin Haney. I don't like it with Teofimo Lopez sometimes. Ryan Garcia, take it or leave it, I suppose. I didn't like the Charlos at all. Look, I'm just old school, I suppose, but I don't mind a little bit of trash talk, and I understand you back yourself and you got to talk yourself up, but they just take it a little bit too far for me there, Drew. I just think that they just do it with a little bit of class. Be outspoken, be controversial, whatever it might be, but do a little bit of class. That's what they all lack, if you ask me. They don't have any class at all. In Keyshawn Davis, especially, I mean, Berenchuk was an easy target. Can't really speak English that well. A really reserved type of guy. Ukrainians, they're a very respectful type of nationality, like the Japanese and all that are as well. Just don't need to do it. I know he was probably trying to drum things up, but it just fell a bit flat for me, Drew. And I just don't. And look, Bomac was no better after the fight. He called Berenchuk trash. Again, no class at all. But it seems to be the trend these days, Drew. But for me, I don't like it. Batman says Zhang and Cabial, another pick me. I've got Smith over Buatsi, but it wouldn't surprise me either way that goes. Well, look, it's good, Batman, that we're all talking about, all these fights sort of being 50-50. The common sort of picks seem to be Beterbiev, Dubois, Shiraz, Ortiz, Stevenson, sort of split between Zhang and Cabial and sort of Buatsi. But look, either way, mate, I don't really give a toss who wins it, if I'm being honest. I just want good fights, and that's the main thing. How much is it? $50, I think it is as well, which is really good value as well. Damien, this weekend's card is good to put a multi on. Yeah, well, what is there? 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 title fights, and then just a 10 rounder, just because we haven't got enough rounds. So there's is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 94 rounds of boxing. And looking at all those fights, this is the thing. Normally you might look at it, oh yeah, well there's a lot of fights, but there's bound to be a KO or two in there. Not sure I see it. I'm sure there'll be a couple that end early. I can't see any of those fights ending early, like early. I'm talking, there might be a late round stoppage or whatever. I can't see any of these fights ending before the 5th or 6th round. So it's going to be a long one, guys. So I hope you got nothing better to do on Sunday. Now, it's my wife's birthday on Sunday as well. So shout out to my wife, Tara. So I've got to be careful. I'll make it up to her in the afternoon. I actually feel that there is starting to be a groundswell of support for Parker, and it almost seems like Dubois is starting to be overlooked. Just my opinion. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people hoping that Parker wins, Drew. Look, for me, that's a pick and fight. I can see Dubois getting on top of Parker and stopping, but I can also see Parker boxing well, exposing Dubois' deficiencies, and boxing to a decision. So, look, I think it's going to be a really good fight, but that's the beauty of these cards. They are 50-50 fights, and that's what we're asking for, and that's what we're getting. Naz says, really hoping Joe can get it done. His videos documenting his camp have been really good insight. He's such a great fellow. I have met him before, and he's a really, really lovely guy. I'm really hoping he can win the fight. I really am. I remember going to a few of his fights when he was with Duco, and just he can fight. He's a lovely guy, and those videos you're talking about there, Naz, and his social media is great. He takes the piss out of himself every now and then, and he's done a few fun sort of videos, and yeah, just a lovely guy. All right, back with Drew. I think Cabial and Bakali are the most underappreciated heavyweights in world boxing at the moment. I'm picking Cabial on points against Zhang. Who do you have winning that fight? Yeah, I'm going for Cabial in that fight, Drew. I think he'll win on points in that one. All right, Bacon and Eggs, g'day to you too, mate. Now, Bacon and Eggs, I think I've seen you on D-Styles channel the other day. Did any of you guys out there, I'm sure Batman as well, I see you on there a fair bit as well. Did you see D-Styles, and I'm not sure actually if D-Styles in the chat. If he is, a shout out to D-Style, but he made the cardinal or sin or mistake, whatever it was the other day, a blasphemy, and he had a slight dig at Oscar De La Hoya, and I was fully supportive of what D-Style was saying. I agree with him. But I think there's one thing you don't do, and you don't rubbish De La Hoya, the fighter. I know a few people have come at him as far as his personality and wearing all the tights and the high heels, all that sort of stuff, but as a fighter, it's almost the place you don't go, and that's having a crack at De La Hoya, the fighter. And his point was that people having a crack at Canelo Alvarez, of course, and at his age and who he's fighting and everything else. And D-Style, I thought, made a really good point about who De La Hoya was fighting at 34 and 35 years of age, and he could have fought Margarito, and he took Pacquiao at the time. Now, in hindsight, Pacquiao was, he's just on a tear and was about to really go on his main blitz of those divisions at that time when he was hitting peak Manny, but I'm sure Oscar didn't know that at the time. And I remember even there was an outcry from the Filipino government trying to persuade Manny Pacquiao from not taking the fight because he was coming up from lightweight. Oscar was coming down from middleweight, and they were almost begging with Manny Pacquiao not to take the fight. And D-Style sort of saw it as maybe it was a cherry pick gone wrong. Hard to believe that Manny Pacquiao was a cherry pick, and then the avalanche started. Everyone started jumping on D-Style about that. But D-Style, mate, if you're watching, I agree with what you had to say. So what do you guys think? Yep, Damien, I didn't know either, mate. So subscribe to Batman. Sam Nixon. Running late. Has Brock got a trainer yet, or is it just his dad? Apparently it's just his dad, Sam. I said in the Walking Boxing episode the other day, I just can't get my head around. I can understand this does happen frequently. Okay, fighters and trainers, they fall out of love or they go their separate ways for whatever reason. I've got a feeling in this instance, just my gut feel, I don't know, no one said anything for real or in fact to me, but I've just got a feeling that Jeff, from the word go, has always had full control of Brock's career in a good way. Just looking out for him, training, managing, all that sort of stuff. And Brock was very, very lucky to have an experienced guy and someone with Jeff's name and his know-how in his corner, and really got him to a point. But I think as Brock's sort of grown over the years and matured, now he's starting to maybe think a little bit more for himself, and has said to Jeff, look, I don't want you to have as much role. I'm a grown adult now. I've got a bit of experience. I want to do my thing. And I reckon they've butted heads over that. And that's fine. If they decided to go their own way, or Brock's decided to part ways with Jeff, no drama. And I think Jeff would agree with that as well. All right, mate, you've made the decision, no problems. But I can't believe that Brock hasn't reached out to a trainer in Australia, and there's plenty of good ones out there, to take the remainder of his training camp and worked with him and put the finishing touches on. I mean, this was rumoured, 5 weeks ago? No, hang on. It's, what have we got? About a month ago, haven't we? 3 weeks, whatever it is. Is it 3 weeks? Must be about 3 weeks. This was out there about 3 weeks ago. So they've had 6 weeks to find another trainer, and the best they can do is his dad, who's never been involved in boxing apart from being in Brock's corner. Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, geez, what about an Angelo Hyder? What about a Tony Vecchio? I mean, some really, really good trainers out there. Just to say, hey, mate, can you help me out for 6 weeks and be in my corner? Glenn Rushton up there. I don't know. There's a lot of trainers. I would have been putting my hand up for someone like an Angelo Hyder. I don't know. But it's got me baffled, Sam, why he would stick with his dad and get, what's his name, the rugby player, Curtis Scott, as his chief second. Or not chief second, that's going to be his dad, the other second in the corner. Bizarre, Sam. It really is. What's the channel name? Is this Team Batman Boxing, Damien? That's for Batman there. What do you got on there? It's just clips of training and media, but my community page is doing very well. What is a community page, Batman? Enlighten me. I don't know anything about that. You'd think I'd know by now, but I'll check your page out and see if I can make sense of it. Damien, how's the pub coming along? Yeah, I was there today all day, Damien, and the KO Lounge is ready to go. Just putting the finishing touches on, about to print the photos or the posters, because what it's going to be, we've got, I think I've said on here a few times, we've got the 3 big screen TVs, we've got the 98-inch and 285-inch TVs on the wall. We've got about, I think, 40 or 50 sort of seats on tables and stuff, and then there's standing room. So we'll probably get about 100 in there if we really wanted to. But all we've got to do is put the posters on the wall and a few bits and pieces, some lighting and all that sort of stuff, mate. And the bar, we've got all the TVs up in there. Again, just got to put the pictures and posters and some other lighting bits and pieces up, and it'll be opening. We've got a private function this Saturday night. It's actually the owner of the pub who's going to christen things and have his birthday there, his 80th birthday. So that'll be our first little rehearsal, I suppose, and then the following week is when we're opening for real. And I think the Liam Wilson and Dib fight will be our first event. So won't lie and say I'm not nervous, Damien. Pubs these days are 100% on the outer. A lot of them are closing down, being changed into restaurants or cafes or Airbnbs, whatever it might be. So it's not often you see a pub opening. So I'm nervous. I am. I won't lie, but it is what it is. If you're going to do something, you do it properly, and you go down swinging if it doesn't work. But I've got a feeling the fights events will go well. I think we'll get plenty of people there for that. But in the bar trade this day and age, and meals and all that sort of stuff, who knows? Our meals aren't up either, by the way, Damien. So if you're thinking about coming up, we're not quite there yet. We've had we're sort of in between getting things organised for that. But we will have some food on the night for the fights, whether I've got to get a caterer in or whatever. There will be food, but it's very close, Damien. But yes, I am very nervous, I will admit. If you're in the Bendigo area, make sure you come and support us. We're doing our best anyway. All right. Oh, there's a super chat. Sorry, Andy. Sorry about that, mate. I've totally missed that. $10. Thank you very much, Andy. Congrats to all the winners over the weekend. This weekend will be lit. I got Callum Smith, Kabiel, Shakur, Madrimov, Shiraz, Parker, and maybe Bivol. Yes, and smash the like. Thank you very much, Andy. And again, we are at 2,000 subscribers, and thank you to every single one of you guys and girls out there that support the channel. Bacon and Eggs has Parker versus Dubois. Sorry, what's that? Parker versus Dubois or Zhang versus Cabell? Is that the fight you're looking forward to the most? Yeah, out of those two for me, I'd say Parker and Dubois over Zhang and Cabell. Good fight, but yeah, Parker and Dubois for me if I had to pick one. Damien says Zhang is going down hard this weekend. You reckon he's going down, Damien? Okay. I suppose Cabell is a pretty good puncher, but I'm not sure he's got enough to put Zhang down. We'll see. All right, Andy, I picked a lot of underdogs, but full props to all the winners of deservedly regardless. Yeah, exactly. What else have we got there? Team Batman Boxing. My favourite fight other than the main is Ortiz versus Madrimov, but so many quality fights, but I'm looking forward to all of them. Yeah, I did go over this in the Walking Boxing episode last week, and a lot of people saying this is the best card ever. I did disagree with that. I think I went over a couple of cards, even last week on this show. We went over it. I think there's been some better ones out there, but who cares? What's better and what's not? The fact that we've got this type of card, this is probably the most stacked card I've seen. But the quality of fights, I've seen better cards. But again, who's complaining? This is the best card we've seen in a long, long time, and can't wait. All right, Damien. What's that? Better Beav will knock Bivol out, and Hearn will say Bivol got robbed. Probably will, mate. Look, he's been on the downward slope, hasn't he, for the last year or so? Eddie Hearn, he lost again on the weekend with Jack Catterall, didn't he? Oscar had another win over him with Arnold Barboza Jr. That was not a bad fight, a good fight. It was an entertaining fight, but in a different way. Not the punch-out type of affair that some of the other local recent fights have been, but I love the technical aspect of it. Really, really good, competitive, well-drilled sort of fight between two good fighters. All right, Damien. This coming weekend is amazing. $41 on DAZN. Make my money. Take my money. $59 on a multi. There is my $100 Sunday morning. Well, good luck with all that there, Damien. I'm with you there, mate. $41 on DAZN is almost robbery, isn't it? For what we're getting for our money. And $59, mate. Well, let's hope. What odds are you getting on that money? What are you going to win if all your bets come up? Let me know. All right, Batman. I feel Dubois punch output is just a lot to deal with. He's probably going to throw more in a round than Wilder or Zhang did all night. Tough night for Parker, I think, but still Parker is in a great form. Yeah, well, look, again, that's the beauty of it, Batman. It's going to be a great night of boxing or great morning of boxing. And again, I don't really care who wins. I just want good fights and great card top to bottom. All right. Sammy, I see Joel Camilleri got matched recently to a once-beaten Nigerian opponent. I've always been a fan of Joel. Fights hard and he self-promotes extremely well. Is that fight, is it on Box Rec? Now, that's a really good card too from him. It's a Sam Labruna fight night. That's a really good card. Now, what was the date? There it is. Kamakao. I'm with you there, Sammy. Really markets himself well. Does Joel. Look, he's had 8 losses and a draw in his career. But he's always had this thing. He wants to be a world champion, and good luck to him. Whether he gets there or not, well, that's up to him. But I really like the fact he markets himself well. He's always happy to have a crack. Fights pretty regularly, and he's a real character. All right, there is the card there. Let's have a look. All right, on that card, really good night. That is April the 11th at the Melbourne Pavilion, so make sure you get down to that one. Who is on the card? All right, so we've got... So Joel is against... So Joel is 29-8-1 against Suleiman Jafaru, 17-1. Let's have a quick look at his record. Yeah, okay. Some okay wins on there. A few stiffs, but overall there's a few... Ooh, okay. I'm sure you'll analyse that yourself. Let's just say his last opponent was 18-3. Before that, and there's an opponent 2 fights before that who was 21-1. In between that, though, I've got to say there's a 1-6, there's a 1-4, there's a 1-0, there's an 0-1, a 2-2, an 0-1, a 2-2, a 1-3, a 1-2, an 0-2, 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, 0-1. But look, whatever. I don't care. Good on Joel. He's taking some risks, and I'm sure that'll be a good fight. Also on that card, Desley Robinson. This is the fight I'm looking forward to. Desley Robinson 9-3 against Chloe Chaos, who's 6-1-1 for the IBF, and I think it's a WBA middleweight title. So 2 belts on the line. That is awesome for the girls. Camille Balla, 15-2-1. He's up against Danilo Creati, 8-2-1. That'll be a good fight as well. Victor Nagby against Adonis Capel-Quinto. So that should be a good fight as well. So, yeah, good card. Make sure you get down and support that fight card at the Melbourne Pavilion, April the 11th, promoted by Sam Labruna. So good luck to all concerned. And see there, Pierre Karam is the matchmaker. Shout out to Pierre as well. All right, what do we got there? All right, Glenn. How are you, Glenn? I've gone in no particular order. Cabiel to beat Zhang, Shiraz to beat Adames, Parker to beat Dubois, Ortiz to beat Madrimov, Shakur to beat Schofield, Bawatsi to beat Callum Smith, and Bivol to beat Beterbiev. A lot of mixed picks there too, Glenn, which is awesome as well. Batman says, I've got no doubt this card will deliver. I'm with you there, Batman. I just hope we're not there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be a big, big day. Can you believe that? 94 rounds of boxing. Batman says, I think Hamza will take out Adames pretty early. Okay. Yeah, well, I think he's got the potential to take him out. Not so sure it'll be early. Let's hope so. Let's hope we get a few 1 or 2 round fights there, Batman, because it's going to be a long day. All right, Damien. Oh, damn. You won't be getting up that early to watch it and wake Tara up at 3 a.m. I'm sure she'll be wrapped. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've got a feeling because my son's just started a new job. He's just left school and he's got a bit of a gap year. He wants to just work casually and do the young person thing, hang out with his mates and his girlfriend, all that sort of stuff. So he's working part time at Woolworths at the moment, and he's doing 4 or 5 shifts a week there. But the problem is all his shifts are 6 a.m. shifts. So he's got to get up at about sort of 5:15, or Tara, my wife's got to get up. She's got to drive him because he hasn't got his license at the moment. So on Sunday morning, she'll be getting up at 5:15 to get him ready and take him to work. So it'll be an early morning for her anyway, Damien. So I might get her to wake me up around that time as well, and maybe catch an extra fight or 2. But it's going to be tough when you're at my age. You need your sleep. I'm over 50 now. You need your sleep. But having said that, if she's getting up that early, well, I'm going to get up that early as well. All right, Andy. Trash talk is seriously overrated, in my opinion. Excuse me, but I do understand it sells to the drama lovers. I'm really just here for the sport of boxing itself, to be honest, just to see quality fights and who is best in each division. This is the thing, Andy. Look, maybe we're a little bit different in this part of the world. I don't know. But maybe it's our age and all that sort of stuff. Maybe in this day and age, I don't even know. Am I a boomer? Am I a Gen Z? I don't even know what I am. I was born in the mid-70s, okay? So whatever that makes me. But I started watching fights when I was about 8 or 9 years of age. Do we really need this type of carry-on? Am I just by myself on this one? I just want 2 quality fighters to be respectful in the build-up. Yeah, okay, there might be a little bit of tension in the air. I get that. There might be a few little things said here and there, but overall, I want 2 respectful guys just to put it all in the ring. Now, give me Beterbiev versus Bivol any day of the week over any Keyshawn Davis fight, any Haney fight, any Shakur Stevenson fight, any Charlo fight, any Davis fight, purely because we've got 2 guys, Fury and Usyk. I know Fury got a little bit excited every now and then, but I just want 2 very, very good fighters to lock horns and do it in a respectful way and get our attention and our money for buying the event by that, not by all this shit. If anything, I get turned off by that. So how do you guys feel about that? All right, Damien. Parker's YouTube channel has been amazing with all these videos leading up to it. Yeah, they've done it well, haven't they? Glenn, I think the key to beating Dubois is to frustrate him. I think Joe can do this if he's patient and disciplined. I agree, Glenn, and that's why I'm picking Joe to win. Batman, hard not to like Parker. He's a good guy. I've watched him live twice. Once where he destroyed Chisora in the rematch and where Joyce destroyed him. But what a comeback he's made. And Joyce seems to be done. Or zanged. I think that's the word there. Yeah, look, you're right. Joyce did do a number on Joseph Parker. And I must admit, I thought Joe was done after that fight. I thought that was a bad enough beating. I thought he was washed up. But heavyweight division, you're never done, are you? When you had those two really good wins over Zhang and Wilder. And now here he is in a world title fight. And I will be, as the Americans say, rooting for him on Sunday morning. Sammy, have you heard any recent news about Ibrahim Balla? He's pretty much disappeared since he got two big wins against Jalen Tate and Yusuf Dib. I have heard nothing, Sammy, about Ibrahim Balla. It's disappointing, isn't it? Because he did have those two big wins, two upset wins. And look at those opponents, Jalen Tate and Yusuf Dib, two very, very good opponents. Beat them both. The problem is, though, Sammy, he's not with one of those main promotional companies, so they're not going to get behind him. I'll have a quick look and see whether there's anything on BoxRec, but I don't think there is. Let's have a look. Ibrahim Balla. Labruna, that means the bullet. No, nothing. That was in July last year. So what's it been? 7 months and nothing for Ibrahim Balla. So he had those two fights. No, he had one fight in 23. Only the one fight last year. Two really, really good wins, and we haven't heard a peep from him since. So it's got me buggered, Sammy. I would have thought, with what's going on with No Limit in a couple of weeks' time, that Liam Wilson versus Ibrahim Balla would have been the fight to have on that channel, not Yusuf Dib 2. But I know the Dib Wilson first fight was a very, very good fight. But at the end of the day, Ibrahim Balla's beaten Yusuf Dib. I think he would have earned a crack at Liam Wilson. And I think it would have been a real crowd-friendly fight. And I think Ibrahim Balla would give Liam Wilson all he can handle. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Jalen Tate, I'm really looking forward to his next fight. Now, that is on that Liam Wilson and Yusuf Dib card as well. His fight with Manu. I'm not that stressed about Wilson and Yusuf Dib 2. Good fight, but it's the undercard fight of Jalen Tate and John Manu is the fight that I'm looking forward to the most. That is going to be a cracker. Two really, really good young prospects, and I've got John Manu beating Jalen Tate in that fight. So let's hope on that point there, Sammy, that Ibrahim Balla is back soon. What's that? Damien says, haven't watched D-Style since I found out he was a leftist. I don't think he's a leftist, Damien. I think he's a little bit in the middle there. I think he sort of sways both sides. I think he's just a guy who likes what he likes and believes what he believes, and I wouldn't go so far as to call him a leftist, mate. I know he's not a Trump fan, but I don't think he was a Biden fan either. But go easy on D-Style. And you're right, Batman. He had some solid points, yeah. All right, Daniel Smart. How are you, Daniel? Parker's experience and patience gets him through this weekend. Dubois can get reckless and impatient. Bivol to win the rematch, and Ortiz by a whisker over Madrimov. Yep, good call there, Daniel. All right, Batman. Oscar was avoiding certain fights himself, crazy as it sounds. Yeah, and this is the thing, Batman. Every fighter along the journey has avoided, well, I'm not going to say avoided, but chose other fights over other fights, certain fights over other fights, if that makes sense. Now Oscar, he might have looked at the time at Pacquiao and Margarito or Cotto even, and said, nah, I think Pacquiao is the greater challenge out of all those, so I'm going to take Pacquiao. I think he's the harder fight. Rather than say it could have easily been, we could have been able to say, well, he avoided Cotto and he avoided Margarito, but I don't think so. I think he's decided to fight Pacquiao instead. And Margarito and Cotto fought each other or fought other people, whatever it might have been. I don't think he avoided anyone. I just think he chose certain fighters over others. The same with Mayweather. I know he gets a lot of flack about not fighting certain fighters and fighting others when they were done. I just think, you can only fight once or twice a year. You can't fight all these contenders all at once. And I think the fact he fought, the only guy I could probably see he didn't fight was probably Margarito. But did he duck him? I don't think so. I just think there were other better fights for him that made more sense. Now, a lot of people might have said, well, he ducked Margarito, but I just thought he a big guy, Margarito. He's awkward, he's tough, hard to get out of there. Mayweather's had fragile hands. He might have thought, geez, I could break my hands on this guy's head. There's no way he was going to stop him, so he just probably went a different way. I got no dramas with that. He fought Cotto. Look, maybe he might have fought him a year or two late, but he still fought him. I got no dramas. I just think the elite fighters have the luxury of being able to fight who they want when they want, and it just comes down to when it suits them. And I certainly don't think these guys duck. I mean, how could you say that Oscar ducked anybody? This is a guy that fought every man and his dog, really, didn't he? So again, though, everyone has their own opinions. All right, Glenn. Oscar has one of the greatest resumes ever. Hard to criticise him. Yeah, well, look, if you look at everyone's resume, Glenn, you can always find some holes in the resume. And even Oscar De La Hoya. Well, let's have a quick look at Oscar. Let's have a quick look at his resume. I don't probably need to spell this out to everyone out there because I'm sure everyone knows Oscar's record by heart. But let's have a look. One of those records, one of these fighters, you can look at their records and it's just fight after fight after fight after fight of Hall of Fame fighters. All right, let's go back a little bit, shall we? It's going to be a long record here to look at. Even going back to early in his career, he fought Jorge Paez. That was for the world lightweight title. Paez was a former, I think, 2-time world champion. Fought him in what? What was his fight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's 12, 13. I did fight him in his 14th fight. So Troy Dorsey in there as well was a former kickboxing world champion. Then you go through the record as he goes. John Molina, Rafael Ruiz, Gennaro Hernandez, Jesse James Lehar, Darrell Tyson, Julio Cesar Chavez, Miguel Gonzalez, Pernell Whitaker, Hector Camacho, Wilfredo Rivera, Chavez again, Ike Corte, what a fight that was, Obakar, Felix Trinidad, arguably could have got the decision in that one, Shane Mosley, Gaddy, Fernando Vargas, geez, it just goes on, Mosley again, Felix Sturm, Bernard Hopkins, Ricardo Mayorga, Mayweather, Forbes, and then Pacquiao. So, hard to argue with that resume. Just take a quick drink here. All right, Drew, any news on a potential Jai Pattaya fight next, or is he waiting on Zerto to get his potential mandatory out of the way? He'll fight again soon, Drew. Make no mistake about that. I have heard that they're looking at other opponents at the moment for Jai. They, of course, wanted Zerto next, but look, I think it's a good thing that Zerto Ramirez has actually said, no, I'm going to defend against my mandatory. I don't want to lose my belt, so I'm going to do it. No drama. And I think Jai would understand that, by the way, because he went through the same thing with the IBF and was stripped. I think Jai would have no dramas taking another fight in the meantime, and then these two will fight in October, November, December, whatever it might have been. I've got no issue with it. I think another fight for Jai would be good in preparation for Zerto. So, but I have heard they are looking for someone at the moment, Drew, but no, I don't think any announcement is imminent. We could be a month or two away, I reckon, before they actually announce somebody, but we'll see. I haven't spoken to Mick Francis, that is, for probably about a month. Been that long? Maybe 3 weeks. And the last I heard was they were looking at opponents then. So stay tuned, Drew. Damien, whoever is paying $70 to watch Thurman versus this guy, Brock. Hang on. This Brock guy is a complete flog. Well, Damien, I'm probably going to pay about $500 to watch it. Can you believe that? At the pub. But I'm hoping that we'll get people down who don't want to spend the $70, who want to come down and watch it for free and just buy a few beers and have something to eat. That's what I'm looking forward to. Because it'll probably be $500 or $600 to watch that, or for me to buy that fight, if you can believe it. It's ridiculous. But anyway, but $70, yeah, it's a lot of money, mate. But I'm assuming there'll be a lot of people that will pay it. Make no mistake about that. Batman says, Glenn, he does have a great resume. This is Oscar, but didn't want to fight Margarito or Cotto, and was trying to fight Manny. And if he won, was looking to fight Hatton, who I do rate highly, but still both was naturally smaller. Look, that's arguable, Batman. I understand what you're getting at there, and I do agree somewhat. But look, I don't know. It is like, it's bizarre to look back and say that he took Manny because he was the easier fight.
I would have loved to have seen him fight Cotto or Margarito, by the way. They would have been great fights. And Hatton would have been good as well. The Hatton just would have been too small for Oscar, though, I think. It's a little bit different when you're Manny with his hand speed and foot speed and his punching power. Hatton didn't really have any of that. More of an accumulation type of puncher. Not overly fast with his hands or feet. I think he would have been easy work for Oscar. Cotto and Margarito, they would have been great fights. I think I definitely have my money on Oscar with the Margarito fight. Cotto would have been tough for Oscar, but I still would have backed Oscar to beat him as well. So, but geez, what great fights they would have been. I am eventually, once this pub's up and going and I get everything back on track time-wise, I want to do a thing every week where we pick a fighter, maybe like an Oscar De La Hoya, and maybe go over 5 fights that he didn't have that would have been great and work out, like in this instance here, who would have won and why. Jack Max says that stuff with Brock's corner is clown shit and could get him hurt. I agree, Jack. Can't believe that he hasn't got a recognised trainer in his corner. It is dangerous and could get him hurt. You're right. Glenn says end of his career wasn't holding up the belts. Canelo, I'll give him a pass. Okay, yeah. Sammy. I recently saw that Kane Clark got sent to prison late last year for drug trafficking. His career is a big what if with all the injuries, and now this is ending it. Yeah, I think he's well and truly done now, Sammy. I did see that. And it was surprising to me. I've promoted Kane before, and he's a really, really good guy. Now, I don't know, I had no idea what he got up to in his spare time. That's up to him. But he was a great guy. He could fight. He had a lot of potential. He had some really good wins and then just went missing and obviously got caught up in the wrong crowd, and that's what's happened. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? But mate, you got to wear the consequences. You play with fire, you get burned, as they say, and you've got to reap what you sow. So he did have a lot of injuries too, by the way, but obviously being sent to prison has put the exclamation mark on or the full stop on his career, hasn't it? Glenn says about Oscar, seriously, his resume is arguably the best this century. Still got to go with Floyd Mayweather, Glenn. A lot of the similar names. Let's have a quick look at Floyd's. I don't want to start an online debate here, but let's have a quick look at Floyd. Go back to his early days. Started with, what was it? First belt was, which one was it? Gennaro Hernandez. Angelman Manfredi. We'll keep going through his Diego Corrales, Carlos Hernandez, Jose Luis Castillo twice. Who else? Arturo Gatti, Shamba Mitchell, Zab Judah, Carlos Baldomir, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Juan Manuel Marquez, Shea Mosley, Victor Ortiz, Miguel Cotto, Robert Guerrero, Saul Canelo Alvarez, Marcos Medina twice, Manny Pacquiao, Andre Berto, and we won't worry about the Conor McGregor fight. Pretty good resume, Glenn, and the difference is they've all got big W's beside them. So I'm going to still back Floyd Mayweather, and I'd still probably put Manny Pacquiao second and then probably Oscar third behind that. Good talking point, though. Who's got the best resume this century? There's my 3 there. Mayweather, Pacquiao, Oscar. What's that? Batman. It's down. Okay, that's your channel. Yep. Drew, Pat Jarvis was a hell of a player for the North Sydney Bears, but not entirely convinced he can navigate the nuances of navigating a corner in a professional fight for his son. Okay, I didn't know that about his father, Drew. I thought his dad was named something else. Okay, I didn't know that, mate. So I didn't know he was a rugby player. There you go. But whether he's a good rugby player or not, Drew, certainly should have someone that's recognised in his corner. It just doesn't make sense to me that you have his dad in his corner, let alone an inexperienced dad. So, no, not for me. And played for the Dragons as well. Okay, well, there you go. Damien, of course you'll be nervous. This is about the pub. You have goals, dreams, and you go out and chase them, something most people won't even attempt to do. Much respect, mate. You're a legend. I hope you absolutely crush it. No, I really appreciate that, Damien. Well, mate, exactly. While I'm extremely nervous about it, on the other hand, I'm extremely excited about it because I've got a vision of what I want it to be and what I see it being. It all just comes down to whether people are going to give it a go. That's all. And I've had just as many failures in my life as I've had successes. And they call it, well, that's how you get experience, by failing. And I've done it many, many times. But that's how I've learned, and that's what I'll do with this one as well. I'll give it my absolute best and pull out all the stops, take no shortcuts, and if it doesn't work, well, I can walk away and say, well, I gave it everything I had. So, as I said, though, Damien, I've got a feeling the fight lounge will go well. The response has already been really good, but it's just a matter of whether the bar trade and food and all that sort of stuff. I'll tell you what I'm sort of looking at doing. We've got a big car park. I'm going to put a coffee van in the car park, sell some cakes and all that sort of stuff of a morning, and then we'll have the food serving steak, parmas or palmy, wherever you're from, some burgers and that sort of stuff. So it'll be a very limited menu, but the stuff that people want. I don't need a menu with 20 different items on it. I need 3 or 4. That's it. What would you have in a kitchen if you were? Do you think that's all you need? Burgers, steak, palmy or parma, and maybe pizza. That's probably about it. So I appreciate the words anyway, Damien. It means a lot, mate. Batman says, here's a great resume, no doubt. This is Oscar, but anyone's can be picked apart. 100% Batman. Look at anyone's resume and you can find holes. Glenn says he wasn't holding up the belts. Good point. Travis, what's the pub called? What's the location? It is called the British and American Hotel, Travis, and it is located on Eaglehawk Road in Bendigo. Technically, it's Ironbark, but it's the city of Bendigo. So if you're in the Bendigo region, right smack in the middle of Victoria. So, yeah, if you're in the vicinity of Central Victoria, then come on in when the fight's on and come and say good day. At all the events, I'm going to be there. I'll probably pour a beer or two and say good day for sure. There's Carl. How are you, mate? Can't wait to see Joe Parker box the ears off Dubois. Would be good, Batman. Sorry, Carl, wouldn't it? Batman on the Matchroom. What do you got there? On the Matchroom, Queensberry 5 versus 5. I had an 81-1 with methods. Also had 55-1 win the same night. Shame I didn't bet as much as I normally would, or it would have been huge. I posted the slips on my page that I was that hyped. Okay, all right, 88-1. Wow. On the 5x5. Okay. When's the next one coming out? Are they doing one soon? The 5x5 or 5 versus 5? I know they're talking about Eddie and Oscar doing one. That's the next big concept for me. That will be awesome. Sam, Bivol for the win into Parker for a multi. Just see the Bivol fight goes to a third fight. Yeah. Well, it would be good if that was the case, Sam, and who knows what might happen there, mate, but I'm going to back Better Beef. I know I've been on the Bivol train for a while as well, but now this week I'm on... look, I don't care who wins, of course. I just got a feeling that Better Beef might get the job done again. Kane, don't know how you do walking boxing while walking Neil. I couldn't concentrate. My dog is a little nutter. It's hard, Kane. It does get a little bit frustrating sometimes because if I've got my hands full, because I've got the camera in one hand, I've normally got my phone in the other hand and the lead because I might have some points or I've got to look at stuff on there as I'm talking. And if he makes a sudden movement, he has his habit of really just wrenching to the side if he wants to go a certain way. And sometimes my phone's it's flown out of the my hand or the lead's flown out or whatever. It does get a bit frustrating, mate. But what I've learned to do is to, on my different routes, I have a sort of a stretch of road or land or whatever it might be where I do the video because it's all straight and there's no crossing roads, there's no turning corners, any of that sort of stuff. It's just straight, so he can just do his thing. And the other thing I do is I'll wait for him to just die down a little bit, to calm down. So for the first probably 20 minutes or 25 minutes, he's just go, 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 go. The last sort of half an hour is when he just sort of stops and almost crawls along. That's when I do the video. It's actually his birthday tomorrow. He's a rescue dog, as most of you guys know out there. But apparently, according to the dates they gave us, tomorrow is his 8th birthday. So happy birthday, Neil, for tomorrow. All right, and I might get him some chicken nuggets for his birthday. He loves chicken nuggets. Batman says, the only time I've ever won with odds like that, normally I win on close to evens, but never plus money like that. That's a massive odds there, Batman. 85. Was it 88-1 or 55-1, whatever it was? All right, James Brown, how are you there, mate? Talking about pubs and alcohol. The beer in Australia gives me a 2-day hangover after 4 drinks. I'm watching from Cambodia at the moment. I drank more than 12 a couple of days ago, woke up at 5 and ran 6K. Jeez, you're a better man than me, James. I don't drink beer at all, if I'm being honest. For me, all beer tastes like shit. I've never drunk it. The only time I might have a beer is if I'm in Vegas and I'll go play some poker or something and they give you free drinks, I might have Coronas. That's the only sort of beer I can drink. It's got to have a lemon or a lime in it. I just can't drink beer by itself. Ugh. Strictly a spirits man I am. I love my Jack. A Jack and Coke. And g'day to you too there, James. Cal Jane, love Monday nights. Thank you. No worries at all, mate. I'm glad you enjoy the show. Yes, hit that like, says Carl. Yes. So Carl Joel definitely boxes way better than he sings. Yeah. If you didn't see Joel Camilleri, was it last week on Australian Idol? I think that's what it was. He was on there. We had his Kamikayo t-shirt on. He had the mouthpiece in, singing. What was he singing, Carl? Was it Oasis? I think it was. Definitely a character, mate. That's for sure. What's that there? It's Mark Wynn. You've changed the name. Nectar of the Gods. Love it, Mark. I like the name. Cal, Sam and I are going to make a road trip to our new pub. Can't wait. Hope you have a VB. I do, Cal. Not on tap, though. On tap, we have Carlton Draft. We have Great Northern. We have Carlton Dry. And we have Hard Rated, the lemon, alcoholic lemon. That's what's on tap. The 3 biggest beers in Victoria on tap, and then Hard Rated, which is probably the most popular RTD out there at the moment. But we will have VBs over the bar available, mate. You can just buy a stubby or can, and away you go. Strangely enough, VB, you don't find it very many places at all on tap, strangely enough. And I remember back in the, I think I've said this back an episode or 2 ago when I used to have the old pub. We had VB on tap and no one drank it. They'd all buy it to take away, but no one drank it in the bar. It was bizarre. All right. Thanks, Andy. Shout out to Tara and your son. Thanks, mate. And Neil, I gather that is. I have actually got 2 sons, by the way, but I'm assuming you mean Neil. If Parker loses, I'm leaving YouTube. I've got about 47 bets going around these streets. Well, it's a tough one, Carl. It's, yeah, I mean, Dubai's still got to be the favourite, but I'm with you, mate. I'm hoping that Parker can get the job done for sure. All right, Drew, I know it's not how the business of boxing works and people and promoters need to make money, but given that Tszyu lost 2 title fights on the trot, I think Tszyu versus Spencer will be free on Fox. Yep. Never going to happen, Drew. I think you know that, mate. Never going to happen. They know we'll pay $70, and you know the way it's going to be promoted. It's going to be the return of Tim. Here he comes. He's learned from his mistakes, and let's go. Tszyu's back, and that's cool. You got to do it to promote it. They've got to make money. I get that. And there will be a lot of people that want to see Tim back, and obviously in a winnable fight. But doesn't matter about logic there, Drew. They know they can get $70 out of us, so they're going to charge us 70, mate. No mistake about that. All right. I'll keep going through there. Cal, did you watch the Keyshawn Davis fight? Certainly did, Cal. And very, very impressive. Very impressive he was. James, you are Gen X. Is that right? I was born in 73, so I'm Gen X, am I? Well, that makes me... if Gen X is bad, then I don't ever want to be good, James. I would not want to live in today's world if I was a young kid. I count myself as absolutely blessed to be born in the 70s and had my childhood in the 80s and then the 90s. I was at what was I, 7? So yeah, I turned 18 in 91. So yeah, yep. So I just feel so fortunate with the music and the movies and just the way of life, James. It wasn't all this bullshit we got to put up with these days. All the shit going on in the world. There was no social media. There was no phones. It was just hanging with your mates, having a good time, enjoying each other's company. It was just better times, mate. But just the movies and the music. There's the guy on Instagram, and if you don't follow him, make sure you do. He's called Lewis Lightfield, or Lightfield Lewis, whatever it is. He's actually Juliet Lewis, the actor or actress, whatever they are these days, whatever they want to be called. Out of you would have seen her in what was it, Cape Fear and Dusk Till Dawn, all those type of movies. It's her brother, and he, as a kid, he used to have a video camera in the 80s. Talking early, 83, 84, 85, and back then he must have just videotaped everything. Well, he makes these videos he puts on Instagram, and fair dinkum, I shed a tear when I watch these videos. It's all how good it used to be back in the 80s. It's look it up anyway. I'm just trying to think. I'll give you the exact. If you might vintage, look it up. Hang on, I'm just going to have a quick look and see. Lightfield. I think it's Lightfield Lewis. Actually, on Instagram, it is LFL84. There it is. Hang on. Sorry, I've got rid of it. So Lightfield Lewis, but the handle is LFL84. Look him up. He's got about 50,000 followers. The videos, fair dinkum. If you're nostalgic like me of what used to happen in the 80s, just the great videos. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here. Let's go. Probably lost a few. I've lost a few watches since I started with that little rant. What's this car? I've watched every one of his videos since he went into camp. That's Joseph Parker. Nectar of the Gods / Mark Wynn says, yep, Keyshawn looks good. Not sure he's ready for tank yet, though. I don't think so, Mark. I don't think he's ready for tank at all yet, mate. So I should get a few more fights under his belt. I think Keyshawn and Abdullah Mason is a big fight down the track, and obviously Andy Cruz is as well. Bacon and eggs. I'll be 50 in 4 months. Don't dread it, bacon and eggs. I'm 51. And, mate, I was dreading 50 as well, but it's almost... I actually dreaded being in my 40s worse than I did in my 50s. When you get to 50s, it's almost like your whole outlook sort of changed. Like, yeah, or whatever. I can stress about as much as I want, but you know what? I'm 50. Get over it. And it's almost... I sort of found it as sort of starting again, a new chapter. I saw 40s as, oh, my God, now I'm getting old. I remember when I was a kid, people in the 40s, I think they were grandparents. So I sort of stressed through my 40s, but now I'm in my 50s. I'm a little bit more laid back about it, and it is what it is, mate. End of the day, it is what you make of it. I've got my family and my business, and that's all I worry about. And you guys, of course, and that's all I worry about. Batman. Very true. Plenty of times the guys that talk the least in the build-up deliver the most when the bell rings. Yes, they do there, Batman. Yes, good point, Carl. Tank don't fight guys in his weight division. That's a good point too. Geez, this is called Carl and old bastard. What does that make me? I'm 2 years older than him. 51. Batman. Facts, Tank needs to fight some champions now or 135 guys. Yeah, I agree, Batman. The time is now. The time is now. And it's not like he hasn't got any dance partners. He should be calling out the William Zapetas of the world, the Shakur Stevens of the world. I think Zapeta is the perfect guy he should be calling out. I don't think Shakur is a good fight for him, even though I think he beats Shakur. It's not a good fight for him style-wise. I think Zapeta is the fight. I think fans would really warm to that fight. And if he really wants to get the fight fans on board and be holding that high regard, I think Zapeta would be the man. Of course, Lomachenko would have been even better, but doesn't look like he's going to be around much longer, does it? What have we got there? Peter Nutt. No, Collingwood. Sorry, I take that back. There they are. Pies locked and loaded for 2025. All right, Eubank and Ben. How is this the main fight on the card and they're not even world-class fighters? These Poms are nothing but domestic level. Doesn't matter, Peter. They've got the names that sell, and that's all they need, mate. That'll be a massive event over there in England. What date is that? That's April, I think, isn't it? Let's have a quick look at that card. Chris Eubank. Let's have a look. Didn't know that, by the way. His dad, Chris Eubank Sr., his nickname was simply the best. Well, there you go. I wasn't aware of that. All right, Chris Eubank. All right, so Conor Ben, April the 26th. So it's got not a massive card, though. It's got Liam Smith against Aaron McKenna. It's got Anthony Yard against Lyndon Arthur. No, it's not a bad fight. Chris Billum-Smith and Brandon Glanton. I don't know much about Brandon Glanton. And then Vidal Riley and Chevon Clark. Don't know anything about those two. Not a great card there, Peter. They'll just be banking on the main event, mate. They'll probably get 50 or 60,000 there. I don't agree with it either, but that's the way it'll be, I would say. Kane, big respect to D-Style. Been watching, is that Hispanic causing panic for years? Yeah, look, I just think he does it so well. Not very often you can get a guy jump on. I mean, I do it every morning for 15 to 20 minutes, but when you get a guy on there and spend an hour and a half by himself, not really responding to comments or anything, just talking about a subject, it's not easy to do. So I've got full respect for D-Style as well, Kane. And the show with Calix is great as well. And you've probably seen me on the round table a lot of times as well. I think that's on a bit of a hiatus at the moment, but I was probably on there about 10 times and thoroughly enjoyed it. They really know the boxing on that channel. Carl says, Chavez Sr. fought Kostya in his last hurrah. That's a Mexican all-time great right there. Yeah, no, it is, mate. Now, he cops a lot as well, Julio Cesar Chavez. One of my all-time favourite fighters as well. Now, I'm going to bring him up here. Where is he? JC Chavez. All right, now he got a lot of flack early in his days as well, but I don't know how you could go past his resume. Let's go back to him back in the day. Back to Roger Mayweather. What year was that? Was it 83, 84? Oh, no. He beat Mario Martinez for the title. That's right. So that was in 84. Defended against Ruben Castillo, Roger Mayweather. When that fight that he fought Edwin Rosario, one of the best and complete beatdowns I've ever seen. That was... I still think about that fight. The way Edwin Rosario was coming off a controversial loss to Hector Camacho, and then he blew out Livingston Bramble in 2 rounds. And at the time, Bramble and Camacho was probably the biggest fight in boxing at the time. Blew Bramble away, and then come up against Chavez and got absolutely belted. Had a few, looking at Chavez there, so Rocky Lockridge, Juan Laporte, 2 really good champions or great champions back in the day. There's Rosario. Where are we there? Unified against Jose Luis Ramirez, who had also stopped Rosario as well. Beat Roger Mayweather again. And defended against so many good fighters. Sammy Fuentes, Alberto Cortez, Meldrick Taylor, John Duplessis, just going through. Lonnie Smith, Lightning Lonnie. He was a good fighter too. Angel Hernandez, Frankie Mitchell, Hector Camacho, to name it, Greg Haugen, Terrence Ali. It just goes on and on. Pernell Whitaker. Frankie Randall a couple of times. Meldrick Taylor against Tony Lopez. I'll stop there. There's too many to go through. But just a legend. Just fought so many times. What was his final record there? 107, 6 losses and 2 draws. 85 knockouts. Great fighter. All right, we'll keep going. I'm way behind. Yep, Carl Goldenboy was a weapon. That's for sure. All right, Peter, want to see Jai offer CBS a title shot just to see CBS make an excuse for not fighting him. Well, CBS is off the hook, obviously, Peter, because he's already booked in for that other fight I just mentioned. Carl, I think Jai absolutely puts a boxing lesson on Zerto. Too slow, head stays on the centre line, and he's slower as. Yeah, I think Jai wins that fight comprehensively, Carl. I just don't see how Zerto is going to be anywhere near fast enough on his feet and with his hands to cause Jai too many problems, mate. Oh yeah, do we have to talk about Floyd? Okay, I'll let you guys talk about that in the chat. That's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Okay, all right. I'd have put Lennox Lewis in my top 3. No, sorry, Carl. For me, it's Floyd, it's Manny, and it's Oscar. I think arguably you could almost put Mike Tyson in front of Lennox Lewis, couldn't you? I'm probably thinking the last 25 years, probably not. Because Tyson was obviously in the late 80s, early 90s. But, yeah, maybe Lennox. What's that, Carl? A palmy, steak singer. Fish and chips, of course, Carl. Bangers and mash. Yeah, well, we're trying to keep it limited. I'm with you there, though. A palmy or Palmer. steak, fish and chips, and maybe a burger. That's it. That's all you need in the bar. Is that how far behind I am? I talked about that about half an hour ago. All right, Daniel, myself and the lovely will pop in for a beer and a steak, mate. Given your business success, you'll do very well, mate, I'm sure. Thanks very much, Daniel. Well, don't come in just yet, though, because we haven't got the food up and going yet. Just give me a little bit of time. We will have food on the fight nights, though. Like, it'll just be catered food, though. We'll get it from a caterer, and we'll just, as I said before, we'll just sell it on the night. Some American barbecue or something. How do you reckon, just quickly, a kitchen would go serving Australian barbecue? We all talk about the American barbecue. I'm not sure I've actually mentioned this on here before. We all have our barbies at home. And what do we eat when we have our barbies at home? We have snags in bread, maybe some onion on it. We have burgers. We have shish kebabs. We have, what else do we have? Potatoes on the barbie. Some steak, of course. But an Australian barbecue kitchen where you come in there and we cook a barbie every night, and you come in and you can grab a sausage in bread and a shish kebab and a bit of steak and some salad. $15, thanks, mate. What do you reckon? It's something left field. Everyone does the same stuff. Could that be a niche? Australian barbecue. Some other ideas for Aussie barbie, by the way. I know it's probably going to be fish or something you put on there. One thing we won't be having is shrimp, though. I've never seen shrimp on a barbie, ever. Prawns, maybe, but not shrimp. Same thing, I suppose, aren't they? All right, Carl. Better Beeve is an animal. I've been hearing his knees are shot and he's getting old since Joe Smith Jr. Yeah, well, that could be a point there too, Carl. I just don't... Well, he didn't have any problems sort of getting to Bivol in the first fight, though, did he? So that's probably the thing for me, where if he did it in the first fight, I think he's going to do it in the second fight. I don't think he's got a lot of miles left in the legs, though, Carl. Prime for Prime. Who wins in a Tyson-Bo fight? That's a great question, Drew. Bo would give Tyson a lot of problems. I'm going to go for Bo in that one. Yep, I'm going to go for Bo. Strangely enough, though, at the peak, I would have picked Tyson over Lennox Lewis. I think that his angles coming up and his speed, I'm not sure whether Lennox would have had the versatility to deal with Mike. Let's face it, when he fought Mike was, nearly... How old would he be? 38, 39. It's just shot to pieces. I think Tyson would have beaten... A peak Tyson would have beaten a peak Lewis. But I think Bo would have had the style to go with Tyson. I think it depends on what Bo turns up, though, Drew. If the Bo that turned up, excuse me, in the fight with Holyfield, where he beat Holyfield twice, I would definitely think that Bo would beat Tyson. His willpower, the size, I don't think Tyson would have... And Bo had a good chin. I'm not sure whether Tyson would have been able to get to him and, with some big punches. I think Bo had a good defense, good technique. Big guy would have sort of leaned on Tyson and maybe got to him. Tyson, once the wind went out of his sails, maybe Bo would come on and maybe stop him later in the fight. Interesting fight though, mate, but I've got to pick one. I think Riddick Bo is a great chance to beat Mike Tyson. All right, Addo. I can't see how Bivol can increase his offensive work rate in this fight and not get clipped. The first fight was as good as it gets for Bivol against Better Beeve, in my opinion. I agree, Addo, and that's why I think Better Beeve repeats the dose this time. James, I don't normally drink at all, but I'm on holidays. Why not, James? Especially over there, mate. Make the most of it. Carl, you don't drink beer, aren't you, a Queenslander? I thought they put beer on the cornflakes up there. I wouldn't drink that beer up there either, mate. That 4X shit, Jesus. At least down in Victoria we know how to make beer. What is it? Carlton Draft, VB, Carlton Dry. The three biggest, on VB, of course, the biggest beers on the market. Great Northern, I think, is made up there, though, isn't it? So, all right. Yes, no beer, Mark. Carl says he'll live in this heat. Beer is better than water. Yep. No CC on tap. Nah, Roscoe. Not yet, mate. We might look at it. We'll see how we go. Starting with those four. Bacon enjoys a few beers. That's good, mate. No Limit have nothing without Tim. That fight will be $99. Yep. Carl, not a fan of drinking beer. That's out of date, so I'll make sure the shed fridge is empty weekly. Good point, Carl. Yep, you got to. You could always just rotate them though. But hey, if you want to clean it out every week, that's on you. Good on you. James, I'm the same generation. We have it the best. We did, mate. Who's with me, guys? Was it Gen X? I think someone said before. Yep. Born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, and rocked in the 90s. What's that? If your dad didn't drink beer when you were growing up, you had two mums. Okay. Ryan, what do we got? Hypothetical. All right, here we go. Carlton versus Collingwood Grand Final. Well, Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson before knowing the result. What are you watching? Of course, Carlton Collingwood Grand Final, Ryan. Nothing better than watching Carlton whip Collingwood. I think they've beat them 4 or 5 times in Grand Finals, haven't they? We own Collingwood, Ryan. Carlton own Collingwood. We're their daddies. All right, Mark, Lewis and Tyson stuff Collingwood unless it's a 2018 Grand Final. Well, it wasn't in 2018. Oh, sorry, you want to watch the replay of 2018. Yeah, well, I've been fortunate to be at 2 or 3 Collingwood losing Grand Finals. It was awesome. It really was. I was also unfortunate enough to be at the one they won a couple of years ago, unfortunately. So, good question, Drew. What is the most boring title fight you've ever watched? Oh, you got me now there, Drew. Live or in general? I don't know. There's probably been a lot, mate, but there's too many to get your head around. I would think the most boring title fight. Don't know. I'll have to have a think about that one, mate. Oh, it's not a bad one. Casemiro and Rigando for me. Yeah, that's not bad. Just trying to think. Yeah, there's been a few over the years, hasn't there? Yeah, Ryan, go the Baggers. Love it. Go the Blues. Ronnie. Come on, guys. Age is only a number. I'm 83 and I'm still a dickhead. Wondering when I'm going to grow up. Oh, I'm with you there, Ronnie, mate. I can vouch for Ronnie. He's not a dickhead. And thanks again for ringing me back today, Ronnie. I appreciate it. But you're right. Age is just a number. I keep saying to my wife, I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I'm 51 years old and been in business for 25 years, but one day I'll work out what I'm going to do with my life. We've got to get Ronnie on here again soon, don't we? You've all seen him. You've seen what he can offer to the channel. I think we've got to get him on every now and then as a guest panelist. Damien, I've just turned 35 and can't stop thinking I'm halfway to 70. Yeah, well, wait till you get to 50, mate. You think, geez, hang on. Seemed like 20 years ago, I was 30. In 20 years' time, I'll be 70. Not good, mate. But again, I think, once you get to 50, I'm only speaking for myself here, I must admit all the stress and all that sort of stuff is just gone. The stress of getting older, like 50, starting again, I'm happy with my life. It's going to be what it's going to be. I stress more in the 40s. I remember turning 40. I thought, oh my God, I'm turning 40. Oh, but turning 50, wasn't really fussed. Carl, I like Justice Huni. Have to get behind a talent like that here in Australia, and he's a humble guy and an all-round boxer. He is a super talent, Carl. He really is. And I've got high hopes for Justice that he'll be a world champion one day, or at least fight for the world title. Super, super talent, mate, for sure. What's that, Mark? I'm halfway to 108. Peter, Mayweather is the greatest fighter in history, not debatable. Well, I've got a feeling there's going to be a bit of debate coming further in the chat there for you, Peter. I would have him in my top 5, for sure, 100%. Maybe even top 3 or 4. I'm just thinking above him, I would probably look at, everyone goes to Sugar Ray Robinson. That's always the easiest one, but I think you'd definitely have to have, I don't know, Sugar Ray Leonard maybe, Muhammad Ali, Manny Pacquiao. There's a few, but yeah, definitely top 5 for me, Peter. If you talk to historians like Mike Altamura, they would have probably Harry Greb in the top 5 as well. So I didn't really see too much of Harry, but what's that? Andy, Mike Tyson was my first favourite heavyweight, but Lennox Lewis was better. Okay, yep, that's cool. Aussie barbecue is a good idea. Thanks, mate. Look, it's just... It was it might have been Australia Day weekend, actually. I think, Roscoe, you were up for that, weren't you? And having the barbecue, I thought, how good would this be if you rocked up to a pub and said, can I have a snagging bread and a shish kebab and some potatoes, some onions, want some salad? Yeah, some salad will do, some coleslaw or whatever it might be, potato salad. Yeah, thanks, mate, $15 and go sit down and eat an Aussie barbecue. I love it. Problem is it'll probably have to be cooked inside though. That's the only problem. Although we have got a little area outside, maybe we can cook it and bring it inside. Oh, I don't know, but just thinking out loud. Cook it outside, bring it in and put it in the bain marie, and then serve it out of that. Maybe we'll do that. What would you pay for a plate of food like that? I don't even know what you pay for pub food these days. I went, when was the last time I went? It might have been a few months back. I went to a local pub in Gisborne. And you're paying like $35 to $40 for a main course for a pub meal. And it was packed. People had no dramas paying for it. I think I got a steak and it was in the 40s. And no one batted an eyelid. I kept thinking to myself, how do people do this with a family? I saw families with 3 kids and 2 adults. Think, geez, that's a $200 night for dinner. Crazy. Anyway. Peter says to Ronnie, you need to retire to Vietnam and live the good life. Well, he's got it even better, Peter. He's got the apartment up in Queensland, mate. So he's living a very good life up there when he goes up there. Kane, Bo that beat Holyfield would have beaten most, if not all, heavyweights today, in my opinion. I agree, Kane. Bo was a very, very good fighter. I just wonder how good he could have been if he had a really knuckled down. We only really saw the best of Riddick Bowe probably 3 or 4 times, I reckon. He was a great fighter. Well, no, I'm not going to call him great because he didn't earn the title great. A very, very good fighter that could have been great. And I know he won the heavyweight title, but he was just capable of so much more. Peter, 63 and retired at 58 and on board shitless. Stay working and keep your body and mind active. That's what I intend to do, Peter. I intend to keep working till I can't, but I also want it to also have the ability of what I've been doing the last few years of just getting away. And being able to have someone to be able to run my business while I'm gone. And I'm very, very lucky to have someone that can do that for me now. So once this pub's up and going and hopefully starts making money and paying for itself, then I'll go back to getting away and enjoying life, Peter. Sam, should Brock be fighting Zarafa or waited for Nikita? Good question, Sam. I got a feeling he was waiting for Nikita, and then his fight's been offered to him. He's like, well, can't wait around forever. Let's go. I admire Brock for taking the fight, Sam. I just don't know why he's doing it without people in his corner that know what they're doing. James, my life got considerably better after 40. I'm with you there, James. It's funny, isn't it? I dreaded reaching 40, but once I got through the 40s and got the 50s, I felt a little bit better about things. I don't know why. Peter, have you purchased your 30th? Oh, here we go. Have you purchased your 30th anniversary card for Carlton this year? Haven't won a flag since they stopped making paper bags. Well, it's hard to argue with that, Peter. Yeah, I've got no comeback. Touche. Claps to you. Yeah, haven't got my 30th anniversary card yet, Peter. Can you believe it's been 30 years since we won the flag? I'd love to have the ultimate comeback, Peter, but I got nothing, mate. So I'm just going to have to wear that on the chin, unfortunately. Yeah, just tell Ronnie to watch his step. Yep. Sugar Ray Leonard for me in the top pound for pounds. Ryan, the 40s were hard personally. 49 now, bring on 50. Yep. Yeah, again, mate, I just for some reason felt a lot better going to 50 than what I did 40. It's funny, isn't it? James, you need potato bake as well. Now we're cooking. So if I hire a cook to do it, I could do Australian barbecue. I'm sure, like if you get a hamburger sandwich or a steak sandwich and you put your coleslaw or whatever on it and a side serve of a potato salad, we might be onto something here, guys. Australian barbecue. I don't mind it. All right. Gary Russell Jr. is potentially one of the greatest waste of talents I've seen. Do you have a particular selection? Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. Gary Russell, very much a disappointment, mate. I'm with you on that one for sure. Aussie barbecue is a great niche. Yeah, well, you don't see it, Ryan. I mean, everyone just does the same thing. And this, look, again, going off course a little bit here, and I know I've only got about 15 minutes to go, but one of the reasons why we have succeeded in some aspects of the business we've had is because the chains or the big boys go left, we go right. Or the pack goes left, we go right. And that's how we've remained in the game and been, well, we're revolutionised a lot of things about our industry. And why not do it with food? Australian barbecue, I like it. What's that, Ross? You paid $32 for a Parma and chips. Friday night in Warrnambool. Holy shit. $32 for a Parma and chips. That is nuts. I wonder what markup they make on that. That is crazy. Wow. $32 for a Parma and chips. And then you got the kids as well. Shit, that's a $150 night. That is nuts. OG lights out. Mark my words. Basir A will get the win over Zarafa. You've been saying that a little bit the last couple of weeks, OG, sorry. But see if you're right, mate. I'll remember that comment and come back to you about that one, mate. Well, looks like I've actually caught up here. What do we got here? James. I think Thurman will make Brock look silly. Yeah, well, it's got that written on the cards, hasn't it, James? Look, I think Brock will be game. He'll come to fight. He'll really put it on Thurman, but I'm with you there, mate. I can sort of see Keith sort of playing with Brock for a few rounds and playing up to the crowd and picking Brock off and maybe making Brock look a little bit awkward. Maybe he stops him late. I don't know. Maybe he gets saved by the referee. I don't know. But I must admit it's hard seeing Brock win the fight. But again, we don't know what Keith Thurman's got left. 3 years out of the ring. I know Brock hasn't been overly active either. But I just look at a lot of those fights where Brock has been rocked and shaken by some pretty lesser light type of fighters. So, yeah, I'm with you there, mate. I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope Brock does really well, but it's hard to see him getting anywhere near Thurman, even at this stage of his career. What's that, Drew? Snickers bar Jaffle or vanilla ice cream with icing sugar. You need to try them for the dessert bar. A Snickers bar Jaffle. So you get the bread and you put the Snickers bar in the middle. Is it a deep fried Snickers bar, or is it actually in the bread and you put it in the press, the Jaffle maker? Again, mate, I like it. I like all these different things. Vanilla ice cream with icing sugar. I like it. I like it a lot. Give me some more ideas there, guys, for something that's a little bit left to center. I'm even thinking about Sunday morning pancakes. Or even Saturday morning pancakes, because it's too expensive to open on a Sunday. But big pancakes the size of a plate. They're about 1 centimetre thick with ice cream and fruit and maple syrup. There you go, mate. That's $10. And do a pancake morning. OG says Zarafa isn't anything special. Ryan says mashed spud and lamb chops can't miss. I've got to go back and watch this again and take notes, I think. James Brown. See, apple pie is something to be good. What else is there? Pavlova. Do you ever see Pavlova served? I suppose you do, don't you? Brandy snaps, I suppose you see. I don't know. I don't get out the pubs too much. James, I hope Brock knows something we don't. Oh, look, I think James is just a young guy who's got to the stage of his career where he said, you know what? 27 years of age, I'm going to take a chance and roll the dice and just have a crack. Yep, the odds are against me, but you're never going to die wondering, and I'm just going to have a go. That's the way I see it. I don't think he knows anything that we don't probably know. I think he realises he's up against it, but good on him for backing himself. You could probably tell right from the word go, and I'm sure this had a little bit to do with the split with Jeff. You could tell right from the word go that Jeff wasn't on board. You could just see it. Very sort of quiet in the interviews. Normally he's very enthusiastic, Jeff. You could just tell he wasn't feeling it at the press conference or anything like that, and I've got a feeling that's what's happened. I don't think he was consulted in the fight being made, and I think he's been told, well, you just train Brock, you let us worry about everything else. And I think it's just come to a head, and he's like, okay, well, we're out of here. I would hope, though, that, because Jeff said he hasn't even been contacted by anyone in Brock's team, and he hasn't had anything to do with the camp, although that does contradict what he did say a week or two before that, when he said he'd had the body armour on and almost cracked his sternum by the power. So I don't know what to believe, but I would hope that if they weren't going to use Jeff, they would at least have the dignity and respect to be up front with Jeff and tell him why and say, look, we love you, mate, but we just don't think we can continue on together. We want to go a different direction. And I'm sure Jeff would be okay with that. He wouldn't be happy about it. It would probably break his heart because he's very close to Brock, or was close to Brock. But, yeah, I hope they show Jeff the appropriate respect and at least be upfront about him. All right, Drew, Tyson's ear bite or Gallotta's ball punches, which was a more entertaining DQ? Oh, it's got to be Gallotta with the ball punches, doesn't it? I mean, Evander jumping around like he had fire in his trunks was one thing, and then Tyson actually went him after. And had to be the funniest thing actually in that was when the cops were like, "We're going to try and hold back a rampaging Mike Tyson." You could see the look at him like, "Holy shit!" But nah, Gallotta, that was awesome when he got disqualified and everyone was in there fighting and carrying on. That was probably more entertaining. All right, is that Al Paro Cambosis? Who wins if they fought? I think the former, given that he is a southpaw and George struggles against them. Tough one to pick, Al, or AI is it? I'm going to call you Al. Oh, that's a really tough one. I think George could win that fight. Liam's a very, very good fighter, and you're right about the southpaw thing. Maybe that could be an issue for George. Oh, I don't know. I'm picking George, but with no confidence whatsoever. All right, James, $15 for pancakes and a beer. On a Saturday morning, I was thinking more coffee there, mate. We are having complimentary coffee there, so actually, if we had the kitchen, we'd probably put in a proper coffee maker. You would have to. Although we've got the van out the in the car park if all that comes about. The thing I'm dreading about the whole thing, James, with everything is dealing with the council. I dread dealing with the council, and to think we've got to go through a kitchen with them, try and get it up to speed. You know they're going to pick something, even if there's nothing wrong with the kitchen. It was only in business less than a year ago. So it was obviously up to speed by then, or at that time, but you'd be guaranteed they'll find something because that's what they do, the council. So we've got to jump through the hoops to get the van in the car park, and God knows what hoops we've got to get through to get them to sign off on the kitchen. So we will see. All right, a couple more questions and we'll call it a night. If you watched the Tommy Brown fight, it would have been a different outcome. As soon as Tommy put hands on him, his complexion changed. I do remember actually, OG, in that fight where Tommy did go after Michael Zarafa, and Michael, the way he reacted was something you don't necessarily see the really elite guys do. He almost balked at him, and Michael dipped the hands down, the chin went up in the air, and he almost like almost like he psyched him out, if that makes sense, like a psych, and he put the head up in the air and the hands dropped. You don't normally see that against an elite fighter, against someone like a Tommy Brown. He should have been so confident with Tommy. I mean, let's face it, only went around. We can't really judge too much by it, can we? But look, I've been vocal all along, OG. I've never really seen Michael as that real world-class fighter. But if the Brock Jarvis thing falls down, who knows? We might get the opportunity to see Michael in with the fight against Keith Thurman. We'll see exactly what he's got. Well, looks like it's going to go ahead with Thurman and Jarvis. But look, I'm looking forward to seeing what Michael has with Basir A. I did watch a bit of him on YouTube. He can fight. I still think Michael wins that OG. But we will see on the night, won't we? All right, guys. Look, I think that is almost about it. Hang on. What do we got, Ryan? Have you got a personally selected security team? Well, we don't necessarily need security, mate, unless it's a proper event. I think if you've just got the fights on, it's okay. You don't need security. I think you've got to have over 100 people or something before you might need security. So I think we're going to be okay. But no, I know a lot of the boxers and Muay Thai guys or MMA guys that will be coming, mate, and I think we'll be okay. We might feed them a few beers to keep them happy and a bit of food or something, and I'm sure they'll have our back on the day, mate, but I'm sure we'll be fine. All right, guys, well, I'm not sure there's any more questions coming through. We've got a couple of minutes to go. We might call it a night there, I think. Doesn't seem to be anything else coming through. But look, again, really appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. I'll hopefully not stuff it up this week, and it'll be on Spotify tomorrow morning, and then also we'll have it on or this for you to watch after the fact. Make sure you keep watching Walking Boxing of a Morning, 15 to 20 minutes every single day. So always keeping you up to date with what's happening in the boxing world and giving my 2 cents. So guys, have a great week, and we will talk to you next week talking about the fights this weekend. Plenty to go over. So guys, have a good one, and we'll catch you then.